You have what now? 50k channel points? Okay, before we actually stream, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because I actually don't know what to add for channel points right now. Please just keep a hold of it. I really don't know what to do with it right now. なんかチャンネルポイントがめっちゃなんかリディームわからなくて、だからもう少しなんか使わないでほしい。I don't know what to do. I don't know what to put as channel points. It's a bit of also I'm in shambles. I'm in shambles because the Wuthering Waves live stream just finished like some time ago, and literally the freaking code, it's so difficult to find. Model toggles TTS custom sound alerts. Okay, so with model toggle, I don't know how heavy that will be because right now this model is so heavy that if I open more things, it actually makes my PC lag. Because yeah, the reason why I don't have a lot is because my PC is not exactly the strongest PC. So I can't really like, I used to have like stream elements thingy on my stream elements like stream avatars thingy, but I haven't been able to like, what's it called? I haven't been able to use that in a while. So that's also thing, because the last time I used it was so heavy that I couldn't really load anything. Like, so the most I can do right now is that this guy is actually still pretty light as long as I make him small. So yeah, like I want to add it, but it's really heavy on my PC. So if you see like frame drops, that usually happens as well. Deka deka. いらっしゃい。なんかトグルなどが欲しいんだけど、めっちゃなんか PC の重さが多いから全然できなくて。Also, I forgot to say that I'm streaming! 配信中のツイートまだ出してない。ちょっと待って。Live now. In a minute. Professional streamer, そうね。待つ。今日ね、また、いないれの鈴木、今日は、あと2つぐらいかな。2つぐらいのストーリーで、メインストーリーが終わるんだけど、I think like the main story will end after like 2 chapters. So yeah. What else did I want to like discuss with you guys? This is a lot. I feel like later, the goal now is to actually finish playing Inazuma 11, at least the main story, so that I could stream something else. It's just that I know that if I stream something else now and I don't finish Inazuma 11, I will probably sidetrack. If you have time, you can get to the final chapter today since you're almost done with this one. That's true. We'll see how that goes, okay? RTA の人がレイさんの歌聞いて、めっちゃいいって、そうなのありがとう。誰なの？あれなんか紹介してくれてありがとう、シアンさん。あれThank you。なんか意外ね。まあなんか来年からはもっとなんか JP 日記と日本語の会話話したいんだけど、それが自分のなんかツイートや配信も両方英語と日本語をガンガン翻訳するのかをやらなければいけないんだけど、僕もびっくりしました。レイさんだ、マジかってそっかBut yeah, I really want to make sure that by next year I use both Japanese and English frequently on my stream. So I really want to highlight that on my about section, on my YouTube, everywhere. I really want to do that because I feel like I really like talking to people from Japan. I really like it a lot. なんか日本人と話すとなんかいい雰囲気と思うから、まあ I know it sounds a little bit weird. ちょっと変に聞こえるんですけど、なんか最近は自分の国の人と話すのはあまり好きじゃないんだから海外と日本人がいいかな。It's time, no, not become Japanese, it's to be friends with the Japanese. 最近もあまり好きじゃない自分の国の人だから、まあ最近ツイッターもちょっとうるさくてしょうがないなと思うけど、まあしかも稲妻11の歌だったのでさらに新曲だ、うおーってなりました。そうその曲は私とオリちゃんのなんかめちゃめちゃ大好きなシリーズでなんか子供の頃からそれを見てまあ印象が残ったからなんか面白いことだったらなんか勝手な構成の、歌詞で万歳稲妻11日本人それがめっちゃなんかそのセリフがめっちゃ大好きだけど、なんかそれがもしなんか万歳稲妻11インドネシア人のあったら多分歌えない。でも日本人だったら歌う。Like there's a lyric in Katte Koze, the song that me and Ollie covered, that said Banzai Inazuma 11 Japanese people, Nipponjin. If it changed to Indonesian people, I don't think I would sing it. Cause literally our soccer team is fucked. インドネシアのサッカーのなんか能力はめっちゃ下手。ごめん、めちゃくちゃ下手くそだから応援してない。それともなんか客もなんかここの客はちょっとね、見てる人はちょっとね、なんかルール守らない人ばっかりから日本のサッカーがめっちゃレベルが違う。なんか世界中のサッカーを見たら日本のレベルが違う。They're okay for a bit, then it got worse. No, like here's the thing, guys. You need to like watch a soccer match in Japan once because it's so different. Like everyone has their role. There's the cheer team. There's the people who's like, making sure you know the like the chants and whatnot. Everyone's clean. Everyone takes care of each other. Like there is no bad mouthing. There's no booing happening. That doesn't happen. But everyone is like proper, and it's such a healthy environment to be. When I had my first experience watching like a soccer match, なんか初めて日本のなんかサッカー試合を見たとき、横浜マリノスのチームを応援してて、めっちゃなんかその横浜マリノスの応援団がめちゃくちゃかっこよくて、コミュニティもなんかルール守ってる人ばかりし、なんか楽しそうな経験だった。めちゃくちゃ良いだったよ。ありがとう。Is that how this gets about the spirit? Yeah, I feel like, oh yeah, in terms of culture, it's pretty bad here. Yeah, that's why sometimes, okay, like real talk before I actually play the game, but like Indonesian culture is nice. Our history is fun. It's full of flavor. It's full of things. But I think personality wise and like how much we want to like tolerate or like basically giving a shit about people, that's where it kind of goes south for me. Like you're not able to enjoy quiet times on your own. It's really hard to do that. And it's the mentality of blaming others if you make a mistake. And I don't really like that. I really don't like that mentality. なんかインドネシア人はまあ文化的はなんか めっちゃいいんだけど、なんか性格的にはなんか学んでることはちょっと変だから、時々自分も理解できないし、なんかだから時々はめっちゃ難しいよ。なんかインドネシア人と話すと。You think that doesn't happen in JP? I'm pretty sure it does happen in JP, but the thing is like JP is a little bit different because everyone is more worried about how you would perceive each other, that you would actually do things at more of a surface level, so you wouldn't get hurt, or like, you know, people mind their own business in Japan. When I lived there, people mind their own business, so they don't, you know, intervene into your lives, which is one way or another, it's a good thing because like it doesn't bother you directly. But with Indonesians, they kind of just bother you directly, and they try to make sure that you are present in their brains, you know, like it. And sometimes it's just not nice. I'd rather not know if like someone doesn't like me and stuff like that, you know, like I'd rather not know. And the thing is, like, even if they don't, they wouldn't go, how do you say it, like, if they don't like you, they just don't talk to you. They'll just block you and that's it. And that's honestly pretty healthy because like it means like, oh, I don't want to deal with you, I'll just block you and move on with my life. That's really nice. In Indonesia, I do that, I'm probably, it's not a fun time. インドネシアって日本とわー Good morning, good morning! Is that 戦争? That's not 戦争, right? 待って、I forgot the kanji. I know it's fought. 時は日本の元気だったみたいなので、すごいなって思いました。そうか。人気That's true. That's true. That is true. Hold on. For the sake of me being able to, let me... ちょっと待ってね。漢字めちゃくちゃ忘れた。戦った。そうそう。戦争と思った。戦ったは、たを使わなくてもいいか。忘れた。戦った時。ちょっと待ってね。Girl, that was word? すごいはそういう、待って、すごいは漢字あったの？ Wait, I didn't know すごい had a 漢字。すごい漢字あったの？知らなかった。ある？知らなかった。でもなんか日本代表めちゃくちゃいいよ。あとはなんか日本代表はなんかイケメンいるよ。イケメンいるよ。And Indo people still kepo at times. That's true. It did すごい。Yeah, apparently that's すごい。すごい感じありますよ。いや知らなかった。全然なんか日本語学校の時は全然それを教えてなかった。Hydrate, thank you. Hold on. 田中 or みんなにのイケメン。そう。I feel like the Japanese like representatives are actually freaking hot. I'm like, what the fuck? And I look at Indo, I'm like, well, okay. OK ゲームの前に最近あったフィジカルアジアで日本代表のフィジカルアジアは大体イケメン。精鋭の人はめちゃくちゃイケメンだけど、インドネシア人なんかの代表はめちゃくちゃ悪いよ。全くなんかスキルはほぼない人を選んで、でも日本代表はイケメンと美少女がいるチームけど、みんなは全部自分のなんか力がある、なんか持ってる人からすごいなと思うけど、 インドネシア代表を見たときは I don't really feel like being an Indonesian at that point. It was bad. No, Zayd. No. It's not about the diet. It's not about the diet. It's about people wanting to care about themselves. It's not about the diet, okay? Like, a lot of Indonesian people can look pretty if they take care of themselves, but a lot of people don't take care of themselves because it's not a requirement here. It's not something that the society makes you want to do. Like, people just be stank, you know? And the thing is, I was watching Physical Asia and there's the Japanese team and I saw the Indonesian team. The Japanese team had like really like handsome and very pretty people with their own powers and they're like worth on that team. And then you look at the Indonesian team, like holy fucking shit, it's so bad. It's so bad that I felt ashamed being Indonesian because like what the fuck am I looking at? They had no power. That was all just like, oh my god, let's go into Physical Asia and then get like sponsorship deals because we are representing Indonesia, but y'all suck because they got out so fast. Are they chopped? Bro, they got eliminated in the first like 3-4 episodes. It's so fucking bad that I'm like, bro, we had like that wrestling or like weightlifter kid who won at international and he didn't get in. And I'm just, you know what? This is the thing with Indonesia because sometimes they like to pick people that in a sense like, oh, if I pick this person, I'll be on their good person side. And then that means I will reap the benefits. But it's like, it's one-sided. You're not doing anything for the country. It's so silly. But the Japanese people are like, yes, we will do this for our country. And they pick really good people and people with actually like high integrity and like, you know, sportsmanship. I don't think Indonesia had sportsmanship. And that's what frustrates me. Even Mongolia was amazing though. I mean, the Indonesian team leader had, the muscles, I'm pretty sure those were steroids. インドネシア代表もオランダあってもオランダ味があってとっても独特なのでそれいやそれは多分シオンさんが優しいな自分だったら多分そんなに優しくないと思うわ What do you mean you invite a fucking model? That's the thing! Okay, here's the frustrating thing, okay? They invited a model, okay, former basketball player, fine. But they invited a tennis player that seemed like he's not even interested in being in the damn show. なんかテニスの選手が誘ったんだけど、フィジカルエイジアのインドネシア代表なんだけど、その時は全く興味なさそう顔がしてた。Like, tennis players? No. The thing is, here's the thing. Okay, here's what pisses me off, okay? Everyone there's like, I will do my best for my country's pride and for our pride. Everyone says that. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. It means you are gonna try your best. You're gonna push hard for what you believe and your sportsmanship. You know what Indonesia did? Well, if we lose, we lose. From the start of the fucking series. Well, if we lose, we lose. We'll just accept that we lose. What the hell is that sportsmanship? That's so stupid. なんか最初からのエピソードは全員の代表は一生懸命戦うぞなんか意志があるんだけどインドネシアの代表はまあ負けたら負けたしょうがないねlike what the fuck is it? Anyways, but that's my hatred towards Indonesian sportsmanship. Like the ones that are really good are not highlighted. なんかいい選手は選ばなかったけどマジでなんかまあな人だけが選んだめちゃくちゃ嫌いよめちゃくちゃ嫌いこんなになんかインドネシア人がたくさんなんか優秀な人があるんだけどなんでそういう人が選ぶのかわかんない Like, why would you choose people that literally do not do their best? And there's so many people in Indonesia that are like really goated, but they don't get a chance to do that because it's fucked. It's fucked. It's so fucked. It's so fucked. Anyways. ちょっとゲーム開きますね。ちょっと待ってね。Open the game. Right, have you seen the podcast on Dedico? The one guy said we Indonesia mocked them, but the other country praised them. Huh? No one praised Indonesia. Bro, no one praised Indonesia. That's a lie. Literally, you can see in the Netflix show, like, no one praised Indonesia. We were always looked at like, did they just choose models to join the show? It's so bad. Because of nepotism? Yeah, it probably is. Because I remember the tennis player, I think, was chosen from nepotism. I don't know. よくわかんけど、めちゃくちゃ嫌いでした。I really hate it. めちゃくちゃね。めちゃくちゃ味がない。マジで味がない。マジで味がない。I really think it's so bad. Okay, yeah, Japan team versus Korea was kind of fucked, but it always happens if you have Japan fighting Korea. They have like this really tough rivalry against each other. But there is a series called... There's another series in Netflix that is just all Japanese. And it's also like something like Physical Asia or Physical 100. Pretty good series as well. I forgot the name though. それを話に続けてるんですけど、いよいよ稲妻イレブンの日です。時間になります。今の日本代表も遠藤がキャプテンですね。そう、今の日本代表稲入れで遠藤春はキャプテンじゃない。ストライカーなんだけど、チームとしてはキャプテンじゃない。And the current NSL 11, Endo Haru is not the captain. He's just a striker. He's just a player. Chicken shop. しかも勝利が先は世界。It's so fast. I didn't technically in Inazuma 11. Basically, the one who was like the top in Japan would be called Inazuma 11. Whoa, Victoria! 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 こんばんは、レイちゃんの配信待ってたよ。ありがとう、カッピさん。また見に来ててありがとう。今日もいよいよ次の段階に行こうかな。ストーリーの段階がめちゃくちゃここまで来たのか。すごいな。Hello, hi, Anna! Welcome in everyone who just came into the stream. Welcome in. Then we'll have to figure out a 自己紹介が後で作ろうかな。I really think I need to make a proper 自己紹介 that I need to remember both in English and Japanese. So we'll do that later. 後でなんか作ろうか、一緒に。鈴木はね、前は靴を全然買えなかったけど、おばあちゃんを3回ぐらい高かったら靴をようやく手に入れました。日本人増えて嬉しい。うん、そう。なんか稲入れのカバーソングのおかげで、そしてなんかオリちゃんの多分見てるみんなもここで配信が見つかったから嬉しい。ちょっともっとなんか日本語の練習ができてて嬉しい。 前は全然できなかったね。みんなはだいたい英語で話すから、ちょっと難しかったけど、今日、なんか今は全部なんか日本語を使ってる。Back then, it was really hard to just use Japanese when everyone replies in English because I couldn't really practice it to anyone. But now it's nice. More people are coming in with Japanese and I'm like, yeah. 英語すらかった。ごめん。私は日本語すらかったけど、まあ頑張ってる。How are you today, Ray? Have you watched the Game Award? I didn't watch the Game Award. なんか今日は全然ゲームアワードは見てないんだけど、なんか、ナルシオを、プレイヤーズボイスが勝った。Wuthering Waves won player voice. I was so happy we beat Genshin. I was wondering if you'd mod for Ollies, but it seems so early. Yeah, I had work that morning, but I did drop by for a bit. この今日の朝はまあ仕事あったからオリちゃんのチャンネルにモデレーションできなかったけど、まあ。うわスイープラー、いやー。今日はね、今のクエストはクエストメニューを確認して試合条件設定しよう。そう、前はスパイクなんかちゃんぽんスパイクが全部買ったんだけど、今はチーム攻撃力が低かったからそれをちょっともっと練習してて、あとは試合の準備かな。I will need to raise the fighting power of the team just because we were using like a specific spike. So we'll train a little bit more before we actually enter into the battle. I saw the last hour of Ollie's Game Award stream. Fun with a watch along. Yeah, I wanted to sign up for it, but I had work. なんかゲームアワーズのなんか一緒になんか見るなんか一緒になんか配信で見たいんだけど、仕事のタイミングがちょっとね、ちょっとぶつかったから全然なんか配信できなくて、まあ配信時間は夜しかできないと思うから今後ね。Oh yeah, I've heard about Clair Obscur. I really wanted to play Clair Obscur. じゃあちょっと練習試合でレベル上げよう。うおパカロピア。Too close. Oh, what the fuck? リバースワールド。わあ。ビクトリオ。ビクトリオ。Oh, hello, welcome in. Victoria. Hogwarts Legacy is free on Epic Store if you wanted to play that. I had Hogwarts Legacy, it's just that it's too heavy for me. Hogwarts あったんだけど、今無料になってるけど、めちゃくちゃなんかそのゲームが重かったから全然なんか続きをしてなかった。続きしてなかったとその後は雲じゃない。Is it what's spider again? I forgot what spider is. Is it Kumo? It's not Kumo. Kumo is cloud, right? Heavy content or heavy on your PC? Heavy on my PC and it has spiders and they don't have Spider is also Kumo. そうそうそう、雲があるんだけど、めちゃくちゃ怖い。I'm afraid of spiders, guys. I'm really afraid of spiders. They didn't have arachnophobia mode off back then. So I stopped playing because there was a part of the story that you actually have to like fight a massive spider and I couldn't handle it. The more detailed the spider is, the more I would cry. Like the most I can handle a spider is probably Minecraft spider, but like even that took me a while to get used to. That's fair. Not many games have like anti-spider. Yeah, I'm very scared of spiders. Minecraft spiders. そうそうそう。クマがめちゃくちゃ嫌いで、他のことは雷がめちゃくちゃ怖い。You know, it's funny, guys. I love Inazuma 11 and it has the icon of lightning because I really like how lightning looks, but I hate how it sounds. 雷の形がめっちゃかっこいいと思うんだけど、音と実際に雷があるときはめちゃくちゃ怖い。めちゃくちゃ怖い。Ray gets saved by Spider-Man and just has a mental breakdown, probably. I'll be sorry with you. I don't Google insects for that exact reason. Yeah, I don't really want to do that too. Likes lightning, dislikes thunder. It's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. Like, I really hate when I hear the noise because thunder has struck near my house and my old house back then. So I'm always very fearful of it because like it could break my trees, you know. Hello. まあね、なんか自分の家で雷が多いんだから、時々なんか雷が木に当たって木が死んじゃう。そういう設定が多いんだからめちゃくちゃ怖いと思う。Yeah, lightning is dangerous. Yeah. Get a cereal. 怖すぎませんか？そうだから子供の頃からめちゃくちゃ雷が嫌いんだけど、でも雷のなんかいないよりは雷の形が好き、かっこいいと思うんだけど、なんか It's so funny because I love 雷、なんかポケモンとしてなら雷タイプがめっちゃ好きんだけど、実際の雷はめちゃくちゃ怖いよ。I really like thunder types in Pokemon, but I'm really scared of thunder. Like it's like me trying to fight my fear of like of thunder because I think it's so cool. No, foul でした。マジ？ Damn, that was a foul. Second shot. Being attracted to your fear is an idea. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if the more maybe I like it, the more maybe I'll get used to it. 全然ないの。よいしょ。全然ないの。まあ。残念。できないの。いや。Thunder is scary. A couple years ago, 5 minutes away from my grandma's house, a whole barn got burned down. That's fucked up. That's actually fucked up, the fact that it burned up. Okay. Ray is nearly at the end of the story mode. I think so. 多分もう一つのチャプターが終わったら最後かなと思う。よいしょ。ぐるぐるシュートの人が可愛い。ライカちゃん。 趣味はダンスの人だけどサッカー選手になった。It was all dry wood. ああ、まるでボールも踊ってる。そうそうそう、かっこいいね。ビクトリー。もう少し。This game looks fun, yeah! お、Tactics か。しょ。OK。イエーイ。やったー！ Gotta let it go。Tactics! ID has a panda? No! Oh yeah, I heard! なんかインドネシアでパンダがなんか新たなパンダが生まれたそうけど、なんかつけた名前がめちゃくちゃ変。なんかインドネシア人の名前があったらしいんだけど、めちゃくちゃかわいくない。It wasn't cute at all. The panda has an Indonesian name. It's not cute at all. It's not cute at all, man. Yeah, I was curious about that. I don't know the naming sense in ID. No, here's the thing. It's like usually you would name it like one thing, not give it like two full names. I feel like they really, you know, I feel like they've scarred the panda. Like, なんかマジで普通なインドネシア人の人の名前を付けたんだけど、なんかもっと可愛い名前が欲しかったのよ。普通私なんかめっちゃもっと可愛い名前が欲しいんだけど、それがなかった。なぜだろうか分かりませんでした。A cute name would be cute name か、いい名前か。いい名前か。そうね、いい名前か。わかんない。I don't know. I'm not the best at picking names. How many balls have the goalkeeper destroyed? No idea. Oh, what the fuck? She bowled? I lost. Oh. Agus Hermawan or something? No, it was something different. How did you think of naming your cat? Oh, that just means 1, 2, 3, 4. It wasn't me naming them. Literally the one that named my cat is my mom. Yeah, it's in Javanese it means 1, 2, 3, 4. Like my cat names were like that. So the one that's still here is Papat and Telu, which means just 3 and 4 is still alive. 1 and 2 died. And then my other cat is called Mocha because color looks like a mochaccino, so I just named it Mocha. And then the last cat that we got, my mom decided to call her Boo Boo because apparently my mom thought that the cat reminded her of a Labubu, so her name is now Boo Boo. there's not much going on, man. なんか猫の名前は3と4での意味だけど very creative naming scheme. Yep. Maybe name after the Labubu is diabolical. Okay, she's really cute, but she's also really like, you know. Satrio Wiratawa. Yeah, why would you name a panda Satrio? You know what would have been a funnier name? Okay, hear me out. 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 I just figured out a name that would be really funny. But also, I shouldn't probably name the panda that. I feel like I feel bad. Okay, guys. Guess what I would give the panda name? Her. Just because a panda is black and white, I would just call him Maling or something. It would be really funny. I feel like it would have been really funny to just call him Maling. Which just means like... Girl? What do you mean? Would it be so funny to call a panda Maling? Nanka, Indonesia de dorobo. Nanka, panda no name dorobo tsuketara nanka kawaii to omou. Hey, Maling has two meanings. Nanka, Maling wa 2つの意味あるんだけど、2つの意味あるんだけど、2つの意味で、そのなんか the food maling, spam in Indonesia it's called maling. Burglar is also called maling. Wrong. Sunshine burrito. Shunrai! Shunrai! Ike! Shunrai! Ike! Shunrai! Let's go! Blast that shit! Welcome in, Despero. My uncle named her cat. His cat, there's Katsuman, which literally translates to the cat man. Honestly, that's great. That's a great ass name. その名前がいいね。ザ・カットマン。かわいい。Moodeng! Moodeng is such a funny name! まっすぐにまっすぐ。Offside! It's not! There's still someone in front of me. Moodeng is cute. I love Moodeng. Moodeng is so cute. I love Moodeng. Moodeng is so cute. Moodeng and Nudeng dog. Sorry guys, I have two things. Moodeng is great. Nudeng dog is really cute as well. Yay! 32! Yay! Minna! Dekita! Guys, we did it! You know, I want to laugh at all the special moves they use in this game, but then I play Uma Musume. Correct. いよいよ次のストーリーをできることになりました。We can do this next story, guys. Let's go. Let's go. I'm so excited. I'm seated. I'm locked in. Yummy, 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 yummy. I named my old cat Nacho. That's cute. Oh, I used to name my dog Uno. And then one was Rome. One was Sky. Those were the names I did pick. Penguins are so cute. Penguins are cute.
これで明日の試合前に確認しておくことは以上だ。
Oh, she said Rome. Yeah, Rome as in like Romeo. I wanted to call my dog Romeo, but my mom ended up calling him Rome. And because he was like a chonker, instead of calling him Romeo or Rome, we all just call him Ndut, which is basically NDUT, just means like fatty, like in a cute way. He would respond to it though. これで明日の試合前に確認しておくことは以上だ。Aw, okay. Basically saying that tomorrow, the things we need to like confirm, this concludes what we need to confirm for tomorrow. Something like that. Yeah.
はい、四川道さん。
But yeah, I do have a dog named Uno. だから犬前のビーグルが4匹あって、名前はウノ、ロメオ、スカイと、フラッシュ。Yeah, I had 4 beagles. I had 4 beagles, but sadly they've all passed away in 2024. So, no more beagles. I don't have any dogs anymore. I only have cats. 子供からのなんかワンちゃんはだいたい去年もう天国に行ったんだから今になんかいるなんか獣はまあ猫は4匹。I have 4 cats now. 4 dogs passed away. Is 4 dogs harder than cats to maintain? Yes, because dogs will piss and poop everywhere. Cats do occasionally, but if you potty train them really fast, they don't. But dogs, my dogs, when we moved, they couldn't be potty trained because 1 was deaf, 2 was blind because of old age.
あ、君なら僕たちを絶対に勝利へと
Finally, I still remember we were fighting for shoes. We fought Grandma 3 times. She gave us the money to buy shoes. 君なら僕たちを絶対に勝利へと導いてくれる。そう信じてる。She sent us in by saying like, oh, if it's you, I'm pretty sure you'll guide us to victory. That I believes. Damn, he trusts us a lot. She sent us in by.
あれは
古道会. You beat up a grandma 3 times? Yeah. Damn, is he dancing? Whoa, he's dancing. Oh, he's dancing. Holy shit. Oh, めっちゃ踊ってる。
僕もライカさんのように。
めっちゃ踊ってるじゃん。
あれは篠原先輩になりきっている。
What the hell?
これは見てはいけないものを見てしまったんだな。
Oh my god. Unmi was like, wait, isn't that is he trying to like imitate like Raika? And then Shisendo is going like, I feel like we've seen something we shouldn't have seen.
いや、これは一つのスキルです。
It's like, no, this is a skill.
は
Shisendo, huh?
古道会くんの強い憧れが作り出した独自のなりきりモード。
Oh. If he's able to duplicate, does that mean he can be like, he copies? He can be a mimic? Oh!
帝国学園は
Oh, 今日は帝国 we're fighting 帝国学園まだI keep forgetting they do this. 帝国学園みんな Red carpet and all. Hi, Bimo. Welcome in. Small doggo. Yeah, small doggy. Nice.
何度見ても圧巻ですね。
あかんですね。お、ちょっと待って。There's a new version. Oh. New version. Captions add-on. Oh. Oh, there's a new update for the TTS thingy. Future me problem. Did the previous stream count? No. No, we're not. We're not exactly we're not exactly getting anything recently. How? I don't know. Ask Twitch. Okay, hold on. Here, I'll show you guys what I got. Okay, hold on. 前のスイッチ配信は全然パートナーの条件に入れなかったらしいんです。Let me give you guys the rundown. Yeah, let's see. Last stream average was 78, but we didn't get anything, and in my achievements path to partner it's still 1 out of 6. So I don't know how it works, but it just says that okay, I'm gonna tell you guys the requirements. Yeah, last 1 to 30 days from 11 of November to 11 of December. That's the one that's completed. So I think what it's trying to do is like it shuffles down. So it's gonna be like from the most recent month and then the most latest month. So I think what's happening now is that the second requirement that I don't have filled is last 31 to 60 days. Wait, no. The first one was November 11 to December 11. And then the second requirement that I still need 5 to go is last 31 to 60 days, October 11 to November 10. Yeah, so the one that I don't have right now is actually the ones that is last 31 to 60 days. So what my belief is that I think the streams will roll from the ones we have now until the last 31 to 60 days are in like last month and this month. I don't know how it works. I really don't know. We have 5 to go before I can apply even. 難しいよ、パートナーの条件。全然わからないよ。なんか何が入るか入らないのかわかんない。That's why I feel like we just have to do our best. The more we have 75 to 78 or like more than 75 would be better because that will make Twitch be like, oh, okay, you're not just, you know,
怖いです。
ギリギリ like on the mark. So we just have to keep hitting it if possible. I can only ask for you guys' help. Yeah, good luck. Yeah. The thing is, you're not on the border. Yeah. Again, but all of this, I can only rely with you guys, and the only thing I can do is try to make stream as entertaining or like as comfortable for you guys to watch. And the only thing you guys can help me is to actually just watch my streams. Sadly, the only thing you can really do is keep streaming. Yeah, that's what I have to do. And besides, even if I do meet the requirements, it doesn't guarantee that I'll get it either. Yeah. Gonna promote the stream. All good. Locking it. Yeah, I wanna go continue focus.
ああ、分かっている。どんな相手でも細心の注意を払い采配を振る。俺の世界では俺のシナリオで動いてもらう。
Damn.
あれでしょ、噂の子。笹波くんと同じ天才少年監督。
フワアリス。
おー。オーラがめっちゃ違う。I'm doing my part. Thanks, guys. A puppet? Yeah. His name is Fua Alice.
ライモンにたどり着くためには帝国学園を倒すしかない。絶対に勝ちますよ。
We have to be 帝国。絶対に帝国学園に勝つ。
頑張ろう。
頑張ろう。みんな頑張ろう。私も頑張る。
名門帝国学園と新鋭の南雲原。さあどのような試合になるのでしょうか。
その子大きい。Hey, that guy is really big. Holy shit.
帝国学園は私にとっても思い出深い学校となっています。かつては
If only I'm not 36 seconds behind.
優勝を争ってきました。
そんな強力なチームを率いる少年監督フワアリスはどのような采配を見せてくれるのでしょうか。
Sleep. If I see a race stream, I tune in. Thank you.
生徒である笹波運命君に率いられているとのこと。ここまでの試合の快進撃を見れば、その実力は本物だと言えます。
ということは有能な監督対決ということになりますね。
そうですね。
Wait. Ba, 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 ba. Is it this one? Oh, okay.
さあ、期待の笹波運命はどう動くかな。
Is it this one? Hold on. There you go. Reminds me of older and more depressed version of Yoshino from Date Life, but with black hair instead of blue. Ooh.
笹波運命とフワアリス。
フワアリス。
いよいよ帝国学園か。
帝国学園。
見るからに手強そう。
このチームもこれに勝てれば本物だ。
Oh, if we win, we'll be like a real team, you know? Like legit. Glasses girl is cute. Yeah. Oh, I'm also cute, thank you.
勝ちますよ。
勝ちますよ。頑張ろう。
余裕が
Let's
出
do
てきた
our
な。
bestest.
緊張しますね。
落ち着くんだ。と言っても僕の体も
I forgot you're wearing glasses. But I'm here.
実に弱そうだな。最初で潰
What
して
the
しまう。
fuck? Damn, they're so mean. They're like, 実に弱そうだな. Like, huh, they really do look weak. And then basically saying like, we should beat them up in the
アリ
beginning.
スの指示なく勝手なことをするなよ。今度やったらただでは済まないぞ。
And then basically says, don't do anything without Alice's like orders. If you really like mess it up this time, you're not gonna get out like really.
がうずうずしてるぜ。
Penguin? What do you mean? What? He's like my penguin. It's like the penguin is like uzu uzu shiteru ze. Like how do you explain that? It's like excited? I can't
ち
tell.
ゃんと抑えとけよ。
Yeah, I think itching to go. Maybe true. Oh my god, he's the penguin master.
帝国など恐るるに足らず。
皆さん冷静に。
Damn, the penguins. Oh my god, do I get to see 皇帝ペンギン皇帝ペンギン見られるの
食い下がるどころか、今日の試合は南雲原が勝つ可能性があります。明日のランチをかけましょうか。
Oh, she thinks Raimon's gonna win? She's betting on us? Oh. Wait, not Raimon. Nagomuhara's gonna win? Okay. Bet. Nagomuhara 優勝する
じゃあ俺は無難に帝国に一票だ。
頑張ろうみんな頑張ろうみんな頑張ろうみんな。
注 注目の対決、制するのはどちらでしょう
わ
か。
あ、レベル違いが多すぎじゃん。 Wait a second, the level difference is 6. You know what? I really keep putting myself in the... I really keep doing this to myself, don't I? I really keep doing this to myself. なんかさ、みんなさ、私はいつもレベル低いわ。I feel like Ollie always has her level super high. I feel like I always like, oh yeah, it seems enough. Haha. And then suddenly like, oh, six levels. What the helly? They're 38, 39, 40? ねえみんなレベル違いが多いんだけど大丈夫？ Is this gonna be okay? We're in danger? I'm gonna do my best.
前半のキックオフ。
通してもらう。
頑張ろう頑張ろう頑張ろう頑張ろう頑張ろう頑張ろう。
さあ始まりました。
Pause! What did I just see? 何の技？ What? I forgot that slide was always so horrible. It exists in the anime. I forgot how bad it is. Holy shit. さあ始まりました。両者まずは相手の出方を見たいというところでしょうか。
最近の帝国学園は非常にアグレッシブですからね。
Oh my god.
最初から仕掛けていくと思いますよ。
Wait, Teikoku has become super aggressive? What the hell? 何のタクティック？使えないんだけど。ねえ、タクティクス使えないんだけど。I can't use my tactics. What is that? 何？それ？うわっ！
どこを守るか。
皇帝ペンギン！ Wait, no, it's penguin parade? ペンギンパレード？おおもう。止められるの？できる？できない？なんで？
厳しい状況。
わ
ー！なんか帝国学園すごい。
Scripted? Come on, I think it might be scripted. But
こちらにパターンを読ませない。
迅速なタクティクスの切り替えによってこちらにパターンを読ませない。We can't read their tactics.
これがアリスの世界か。
Oh, so that's what called Alice no Alice's World.
そろそろ。
新しいタクティクスでこちらのペースに引き込む。
We're tactic versus tactic. Milky Way time. Tactics. 頑張る。頑張る。
ボールをキープ。
頑張ろう。
ソラミア。さあシュートに持ち込めるか。
ある。はい。
サンシャインブレード。
頑張る。足りないんだけど It's okay. It's not enough, but it's okay. ひゃー！わーわーわーおおどけー OK, a bit more もう少し たよ。いいぞいいぞ。
さあどう攻めるのか。崩れ切れるのか。
いけー。やった
入った
ー。入った入った。I did it I did it。入った。オッケーオッケー。
ここから反撃です。
やれよ。
うわはよいしょ。えい。
篠原緊張が走ります。
おーあおみ
ここは落ち着いてパスを選択。
頑張ってる。 OK we have to do it slow and steady slow and steady。 ひゃ
一番の必殺シュート。
おお
安定した守りだ。
聞いてはいたけど、向こうの監督さんもなかなかやるみたい。
Okay he thinks we're good。
だったらこれはどうかな。
Oh no they're changing tactics are they。 どうわあどうしよう。Oh shit。 イリュージョンボール。おおはい
シュートに持ち込めるか。いいぞ。
ないの。あーシッ I can't。
ここでゴールを狙う。
はわーおわ
全てを見切る。
ーおー
示す時だ。
メテオシャワー。へえ What the。
突破されてしまった。
Can I win？ あーできない勝てない。むずいね。
技の効果が下がっている。やはり敵は相当こちらを研究している。
むずい。This is so
想
difficult。
定内です。
If Kisoji can't win cooked。
技のギアを上げていきましょう。
あ、技のギア上げていきましょう。え、そっか。タクティクスか。はい。頑張りましょう。
当然だね。
いいぞ。やってやるぜ。
OK。ナイス。あー、ないのみんな。No one's here. I'm fucked. But it's okay. Well, at least try to bring down the HP. 大丈夫大丈夫。HP を少しずつするなら大丈夫。弱くても大丈夫。It'll be offsides. I know. 大丈夫。少しずつ少しずつ。
よし、頼んだぞ。
連携が乱れてしまったか。
こっちかな。
いいぞ、ほらよ。
おい来た。
エンターテイナー頑張って。
行くぞ。見せてあげます。
I'm still losing? Damn. むずいね。決心使っても
通しません。
見せてやるぜ。
決心使ってもまずいんですか。
止められない。
わあ。
敵は技をパワーアップしてきたぞ。データにない戦い方を隠してやがった。
慌てるなブラザー。 まだ俺の世界からは抜けさせない。
Oh, he's like, they can't escape from my world. またあるの。
やるよ。またもや攻め込まれたぞ。
What the? Oh my god, it's death zone. It's death zone. Death zone. Oh my god. What the hell? Oh shit. Ah. できるか？なんとか、なんとか、なんとか、なんとか、
さあどう攻めるのか。
ダメそう。I don't have that much.
すごい勢いで攻められてます。
対抗するタクティクスは用意している。まだまだ食らいついていく。
Okay, we're tacticking. Titan.
ここはパスが通らない。
Titan. Oh shit.
ほらよ、いいぞ行け。邪魔だ。
覚悟しなよ。
やがれ。
Damn. Damn. むずっ。待って。So difficult.
攻めてを見切る。
Okay, let's try again. Nice, nice job. Nice, nice.
切り込んでいくが、さあどうか。
行け。
いける。
No! No!
得点につなげられるか。ゴールを狙う。
やったー Let's go! ソラミアー Alright, 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 alright.
切れるか。やるよ。
よっしゃStay on, stay on. Okay, guys, halftime, halftime. We are leading. We are leading. リードしてるよ。2.1. はは。できるじゃん。できるじゃん。You got this.
両者タクティクスの応酬。これはすごい展開だ。
いやー、帝国学園の戦術にここまで南雲原が対応してくるとは全く予想外の展開ですね。
これはどうなっているんだ。
頑張って。
南雲原の強さの秘密はささなみ運命。広い視野を持ったまるでプレイヤーのような監督。
わあ。
こんなに読めない盤面は初めてだ。
Oh, he's so happy.
なんて。
He's like, oh my god.
なんて楽しいんだ。
I've never seen someone I can't read this much. He's like, he's having
ア
fun.
リス、おかしいんだ。敵の動きがデータと違う。ボールの飛距離や癖がデータと一致しない。
It's like, according to data, it's so different. Oh
君
shit.
は気づかなかったのかい。
It's like, you didn't realize?
どういうことだ。
だったん。
そんなこともわかんねえのかおめえはよ。
It's like, damn, you can't even understand that?
敵の監督さんはメンバーに普段と違うスパイクを履かせているのさ。
Wait, the spikes we're using, it affects? え
サッカープレーヤーにとって
Right, we're
スパ
all
イクが変わ
using.
るということはいつもと同じようにボールを蹴っても同じように飛ばないということ。
Oh my god, right, we're all using
故
the
に
funny
サッカープ
spikes.
レイヤーは愛用するスパイクをむやみには変えない。
Oh my god.
ああ、それはそうだ。
We're using all different
だ
spikes.
が敵の監督はあえて全員にスパイクを履き替えさせたんだ。だから微妙に走力やボールの弾道に誤差が出ている。
Oh, they changed the data a little bit because of all the same
そんな
spikes.
ことをしたら自分たちもデメリットが大きいはずじゃ。
おそらくそんなことは分かった上での判断だ。
Damn.
アリスの完璧な計算を狂わすための計略。今回
Yes.
侮れないぜ。
Damn.
まさかそんなことを。
Our shoes? That's crazy.
なんだよこのメラメラと湧いてくる興味。こんな真似をやってのける向こうの監督さんはなんて名前だったかな。
That's like, damn. This kind of like, it's like crazy, like this crazy act. And he's like, huh?
霞崎英子ですね。
No, 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 no.
いや実質的にチームを動かしている彼のことさ。
ああ、彼は控え選手登録になっている笹波運命かと。ベンチにいるのにキャプテンとは。
Yeah, bench but captain.
笹波運命はプレーをした実績はないが監督兼キャプテン。実質的にチームの柱だ。お前そんなことも調べてないのかよ。
He's like, damn, you didn't even research that? Haha.
うさぎくん、僕はあえて調べないんだよ。それはアリスさんの役目だから。
君には君のサポート役としての戦略があるってことだね。
そういうことです、アリスさん。
相変わらず不思議の世界の会話だ。
それにしても
Oh, he's so interested in us, Unmei.
面白い。俺の描いた絵に狂いが生じるのは初めてのことだ。
He's kind of crazy.
それならまた新しい絵を描くだけのこと。
Oh, he's gonna start painting, guys. He's gonna paint his new world. His new world.
監督対決に。
なんか新しい世界を描こう。ちょっと怖いなこの子。Should I change? Oh no, it's sealed. It's locked. Okay.
さあ後半が始まります。やるよ。
Oh, focus battle? No subs here, yeah.
完全な連携を実現している。
なんか鼓動会の亀尾くんのフォーカスバトルが出たらしい。
無駄のない回路は一箇所でも故
We
障
have
す
to
る
use 亀尾くん on focus battle. That's interesting.
つまり壊すのは一箇所でいい。
Wait.
簡単なことだ。
Hold on. Wait. I got sent a video, but I haven't paid. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll reply later. Okay.
ターゲットは彼だ。
Uh-oh. Oh no, wait, he's targeting us? Oh. Whoa! Oh! Eh? Why us? Oh!
おっと鼓動会またもミスだ。
Hold on, guys. Work. ちょっと待ってね。仕事についたちょっとの連絡が来た。Hold on, guys. I have work. Pause. Transfer pay. Other bank. 1, 2, 3. ごめんね、ちょっと仕事のことがあった。 Chotto matte. Sorry. Got sent at this hour. Okay, Okay. It's okay, take your time, thank you. Hi, hello, welcome in. Okay. Okay, I've done my job for now. I need to make sure Okay.
ちょっとミスが多いですね。
お。ミスが多い。あ。Uh-oh.
どんくせえ亀だよな。
まずいな。
Uh-oh.
また僕のせいでボールを取られた。
Oh no, they're playing mental.
ここまでみんなの足を引っ張ってよくプレイを続けられるよね。
Oh no.
落ち着こう、カメオ。
Oh no.
ライカさん、僕。
しっかりしろノルマ。おい、トロクソンだ。
Uh-oh.
ダメだあいつはもうそんなんじゃ負けちまうぞ。
Oh no.
笹波くん、鼓動会くんが。
まずいな。
なぜフワアリスは彼を狙おうと考えたのか。実際にはそうなってしまいましたが、スピードやテクニックを見れば鼓動会くんがウィークポイントだとは思わないはず。
なんとなくそう見えたんじゃない？私でもそれわかるよ。雰囲気とかで。
いや、敵の監督フワアリスは見た目で人を判断したりはしない。何かのデータでうちのチームを分析しているはずなんだ。
Oh, okay. There's something that he figured out from our data about Kodokai-kun.
が自分に自信が持ててないことが分かったんだ。
Oh my god, he was like, how did Alice figure out that Kodokai, like Kameo-kun has no confidence in himself? Like how? Oh, shit. Yeah, he's having a mental breakdown. Nice. Nice, Yagyu! いいYagyu! マジでいい! Tackle, tackle, tackle! Go, tackle!
なんだこれ?
But is he making fouls? Wait, are they planning the fouls?
君、王様プレーってやつ? いるんだよね。
What the fuck? It's mental.
とにかくフェアプレーで行こうよ。
Oh, they're making him look like he's fouling.
くそ、汚ねえ真似よ。だったらお望み通りラフプレイで行ってやるよ。
Shit.
落ち着けヤギュ。敵の挑発に乗るな。
鼓動会君に続いて柳生先輩も。どういうことだ。二人の性格が完全にバレてる。
敵が性格の弱点をついてくるとしたら、最初に疲れそうなのは桜崎くんのような気がするんだけどね。見た目的にも。
He's thinking.
確かにそれは言えてる。なんだ、柳生先輩は弱点だと思えるのに、桜崎先輩は思えない。その違いは何だ。
What is? Oh, did he figure it out?
こんな時に何をしているの、笹波くん。
そうか。敵はうちの学園 SNS への書き込みをチェックして、
Oh my
性格を
god.
分析しているんだ。
They even checked our personality even to our social
でも
media.
それは 南雲原の生徒しか見られないんじゃ。
まさかハッキングを？
Wait, did they hack?
その追及は後にしましょう。
Damn, they might have hacked our school social
ズボラ
media.
で書き込みをしない桜崎先輩はデータがないからターゲットにならないってことなんだ。
Oh, it's because both Yagyu Senpai and Kameo, they both post. They both have their shit on social media. But Sakurazaki doesn't use social media. なんかSakurazaki先輩はSNS 使えないからデータないんだけど、Yagyu先輩とKameoくんは2人が使ってる。
なるほど。でもこのままじゃまずいよね。
タイムアウトが欲しいんだけど。
調子を完全に崩している2人を下げるという手もありますけど。
We could call it a timeout.
いえ先生、このままいけますよ。うちは鼓動会くんにボールを集めます。
お。
え？そんなことしたら。
Wait, we're gonna collect the ball to Kodokai?
敵は SNS の情報から鼓動会くんをウィークポイントだと判断した。でも実は彼には SNS には書き込まれていない秘密があるんですよ。
Oh, he has a secret he didn't write in social media? Yeah, that!
もうすぐそれが発動するはずです。
それ？
おお。
緊張が走ります。ほらよ。鼓動会。
はあ？
SNS には書き込まれない鼓動会くんの秘密。それは強い憧れで対象の人物の個性を習得したなりきりモード。
なりきり？
鼓動会くんは自分に自信が持てない性格であるがゆえ、極限まで追い詰められると誰かになりきろうとする。
もしかして今は。
Okay. Okay, so basically because he has no confidence in himself, he wants to be someone else. But then because he keeps admiring people and wanting to be them, he can actually channel to be them like temporarily as his own powers.
ライカさんになりきっている。
さすがにそうなった時の鼓動会くんの情報は SNS には上がっていない。
これも計算外の展開。
計算外の展開で計算で試合を組み立てるアリスの世界を打ち崩す。
あれはミキシトランス。人の能力を自分のものとして
Wait, it's Kido! Kido! Wait, that's Kido! It's Kido! Wait, I hear Kido! Hey, Kido! Wait, what the? Wait, I heard Kido! Wait, I heard Kido! No, I want to see his face! Kido! I heard his eyes! I miss him so much! Wait, I need to finish this match! Oh, this became Mixie Trance without the thingy! This was the thing in Go! What the fuck? This was the thing in Go! Mixie Trance! So you joking, no? We got Mixie Trance without the pew pew thingy and it worked? Holy shit! 大きな心を持ったものを憑依させて変身。発動者に協力はバフが付与され、必殺技の威力上昇する。
頑張れ。
I lost.
いいぞ、行け。いいぞ、やってやるぜ。
Shit. Damn. I want to listen to Kido.
ここは強引に突破していく。行け。いいぞ。 ゴール前に来た。こいつだ。天空サンダー。渾身の一撃は見事な一撃です。
入った。なんだと、また計算にない動きをしてくる。ナグモハラは一体何なんだ。
落ち着けアリス、冷静な判断ができなくなるぞ。
これが落ち着いていられるか。
Oh, he can't keep calm because the data changed again. Victoria! Victoria!
またもや強引なタックル。
乗ってる？
ベレベベレベベレベベレベベ。
桜崎、得点につなげられるか。
真剣勝負。
期待できそうだ。
Okay, a bit more. あともう少し。Damn, I couldn't slide. Victoria! Victoria! Oh shit! Oh shit! I should use my tactics too.
どう対処するか。本能寺、ここでゴールを狙う。
シュートブロック。あ、できる。ゴー。やったー。
おい来た。
野球
やるぜ。ここだな。
Shit.
こいつだ。
What the fuck? The fault. It's the fort. What the fuck? Damn. I'm getting shot. That's illegal. Victoria! Ah! Victoria! Let's go! Victoria!
もう勢いが止まりません。絶好調ですね。
Give me that ball. Victoria! Shit! Victoria! Nice! Yes! Maya! Let's put a bit down. Nice! Shit! I'll lose, but it's okay. 負けてるんだけど大丈夫。またサポートか。The more evil the other team looks, true. But I am the number one evil. I am the number one evil. Yeah! I'll tackle your shit. No! I'll tackle your shit. Nice! Yeah. Ooh. I just shot. That's kind of crazy! Shit! Okay. Nice shot! No! Okay. No! 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 They got a score! How dare they? How dare they? That's... What the fuck? Okay, I need to change our tactics. This one. Ha! Get wrecked! Ha! I won! Katta! Katta zo! Zama miro! Yeah! I still won! Ha! 勝った！みんな勝ったよ！俺たち勝ったよ！イエーイ！勝った勝った勝った勝った勝った勝った！イエーイ！ We won！ はははは！ありがとうみんな！応援ありがとうございました！ Thank you for the cheers, Jimmy! Wait, can I see Kido? I heard Kido! I wanna see Kido! Does Kido have a child and is he married Kido?
試合終了。これは大きな番狂わせです。新鋭南雲原中が名門帝国学園を打ち破りました。
キドいた、キドいた。
南雲原はどこまで行くんでしょうか。まるであの時のライモンチを見てるかのようです。
They're just like the Raimon of back then. Oh, bars.
君の勝ちだな。
ささなみ運命ならライモンにも勝てるかもしれませんよ。
Oh, he's like with Sasanami Unmei. I think he'll even win against Raimon.
今のライモンには遠藤春がいない。
Whoa.
チャンスはあるかもしれないな。
Because there's no Endo Haru. They have a chance. Oh! Blah, 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 blah. Damn, he's screaming. Okay, he's That's kind of crazy.
両雄並び立たず当然の結果だ。
我が主は大した人ですね。
Raimon! He's like, of course, our master is truly an amazing person. Thank you for the support. One-sided support, Raimon. Thank you. さすが主殿。
へえ、やるじゃんカメオ。レッスン1クリアしたみたいね。
Damn, only lesson 1? Mom, you're crazy. あれってレッスン1だけでママがちょっと怖いな。
帝国学園に
勝った！運命くん！私たち勝ったよ！ We won together! We won together!
対決に勝利ですね。
勝利！監督！よー！
帝国学園はライモンに次ぐ実力。
あとはライモンが残るはライモンが。
でもフワアリス最高に手強い。
Oh, he's like, damn, he was such a good person to fight against. かっこいい。かっこいいかっこいい。負けたか。
学べたようだな。
敗北という事実を学びと表現する。俺はそこまでポジティブには考えられませんよ。人目がなければ神をかきむしるベンチを壊しかねません。
人並みに悔しがっているということか。だがお前がそんな感情を持てたのはやはり学びだな。
Holy shit! Holy shit!
いくら保護者とはいえ失礼ですね。父さん。
Guys, Fua Alice is Kido's son. Pause. What?
アリス君
all my things are dropping. Oh god, wait, what? Wait, who did Kido marry? What? Huh? What? Who did Kido marry? What? What the fuck? What the fuck? Who did Kido marry? Huh? Wait, wait. What? Wait, what the fuck did Kido? No, it's me. Stop blushing and continue. No, shut up. Shut up. Who the fuck did Kido marry? I was hitting my table to the point that all my figures fell down. You know that's serious. Oh my god, he's so hot now. What the fuck? I always love Kido Yuto because he's always so smart. He's always like playing evil, but he's so like... Get a grip with this. Shut up! No! What the fuck? Wait, who has green hair that he married? Cause the it makes sense. The Fuwa Alice's eyes make sense. That's Kido's eyes. He has those crazy eyes too. なんかフワアリスはキロユートの子供と理解できた。目の色は似てるけど髪色誰？お母さん誰？誰？What the fuck? He's so cool. Stop! I need to stop banging my. Okay, hold on. I need to stop banging my table. I keep dropping my little fingers. This is not healthy. I keep dropping my finger. Finger, don't. 落ちていく。あと。よし。Okay. Okay. 冷静に続き。
いや、笹波運命。久々に興奮させてもらったよ。
Oh, he's like, oh, Sasanami Unmei. It's been a while since I got Kofun. Kofun's like excited, yeah.
勝ちたかったけど、君の方が一
No,
枚
no,
上
no,
手
no,
だったよ。
no. It's not about me wanting to date him. He's not my Oshi to date. No, no, no. I just like Kido Yuto because he's so cool. He's not my Oshi. He's not the guy I would date, but he's always been so cool from the OG. Like, holy shit. Like, he turned out so cool. Like, what? Like, I just want to know what's under those eyes. Ah.
俺の不思議の世界の住人を南雲原に編入させてまで情報を集めたんだけどね。
それがうちの SNS の情報を知っていた理由？そこまでしますか普通？
人がそこまでしないと考えることをするからこそすごいんですよ。
Yeah, he's cool for thinking all this stuff.
卵。徹底的に目的達成のための筋道を分析する君だからこそ打てた手だ。
理解し合ってる？
Yeah, they're both crazy. Of course they understand each other.
君とはまた戦ってみたい。
Oh, he wants to fight against each other again. Oh, they're rivals. I wonder why Alice is not a player. なんでアリスは選手じゃないですか？かな。
笹波運命。
なんでだろう。
達者でな。風呂入れよ。
It's like a shower. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, I've seen Kabeyama, Tsunami, Kido.
キャプテン、ハルくんがいなくなってから少し変ですよ。まあそりゃそうですよね。
俺は
Guess who's coming up?
あれだけハルと一緒にいながらハルのことを何も分かっていなかった。
Yeah, cause you're so mean. You only care about his skills. You know what he's saying? You know, I've been with Haru for this entire time, but I actually don't know anything about this guy. You damn person. I hate him. I hate him so much. I'm out of water. Hold on. 水がもうない。ちょっと取りに行く。待ってね。ちょっと待って。 Okay. Madatta, I got my water. Let me just fill it to my bottle. I got my 1.5 liter water bottle, and I'm gonna put it inside my tumbler thingy so it stays cold. Okay, we did the water ASMR. Yes, because I love water. Out of water, we'll get water. Okay. Okay. Suzuki.
実際に何も知らなかったんだよ。
Yeah, because you don't want to learn about you don't want to learn about Haru. I still hate you.
みんなそうじゃないですか。
Yeah, because you guys don't want to learn about him. You never wanted to be Haru's friend. Only Unmei wanted to be Haru's friend. Grr. Grr.
そうだな。俺、あいつの家に行ってみようと思う。
What do you mean? Oh my fucking god. Are you telling me you've never been to his house? And you got...
ハルくんの家ってあの伝説の遠藤守さんの家ですよ。
Oh my god, they're all just like, oh my god, you wanna go to Haru's house, but that's the legend's house. So shut the fuck up, man. Like, just visit your friend's house. Stop talking about the...
ああ、分かっている。でも友達がいなくなったんだ。家に行ってどうしてるか様子を見に行く。普通のことだと思わないか？
Yeah, of course it's supposed to be normal to go visit your friend, but why have you only decided now when he's literally have an injury? But visiting the goat's house as a child? Yeah, but like the thing is, like, if you're really friends with, you know, the child, then you'd be like, hey, is it okay to like play at your house or whatever? You know, like, you know, be normal. Like, what the fuck, man? Just be normal. 普通になれよ、友達。
誰もしてやれてなかったんだよ。
ハルにはそんな普通のことを誰もしてやれなかったんだよ。Yeah, because like you didn't have any. Because y'all just treat him as like, oh my god, superstar, I cannot visit your house. Like, reasons. I don't like it.
そうだ。ハルは俺をキャプテンと呼ばず、レンさんと呼んでいた。
Yeah, get fucked. Look that. Haru only calls him Ren-san and not even captain. Because you're not even like here you literally are not leading like a captain. You're literally just I hate you so much. I hate you so much. I'm a Ren Tsukikage Ren hater.
ハルという個人として見てくれというシグナルだったのかもしれない。
Yeah, do better.
そんなことも気づいてやれなかったなんて。
Yeah.
そうですね。じゃあ私も行きます。
No, you shouldn't go.
いや、俺一人でいい。
Okay.
一度帰って着替えてから行こうと思う。
Literally, this girl is literally like, oh my god, I love Haru-kun so much. I'm in his band. Oh my god, Haru-kun is so popular today. You have no right to go to his house. You are always talking about how famous he is. You are not part of the. You're not part of the division. At least for Ren Okilla, you try to be a good captain. You can go visit his house. But this girl is just literally, Haru-kun is so famous. I hate him. I hate you too. Oh, I hate him. Like, these two are literally the worst people I've... I'm sorry. それが翻訳できない。ごめん。めっちゃくちゃ怒ってる。めっちゃくちゃ怒ってる。ああ、この二人。They're learning. They're in middle school. Well, they chose the wrong middle school because what the fuck is Raimon now? Raimon is so fucking dead right now. It's like Jover. Look at Nagamahara. They're at least ground up and being good. What the fuck is Raimon doing? You're making my goat school being so ass right now. Stop wearing that uniform. You don't deserve it. すいません。ちょっと怒ってしまって。めちゃくちゃあの二人が嫌い。マジで性格的には嫌い。マジで嫌い。
来門中キャプテン月影蓮か。
はい。憧れの遠藤さんに会えて。
I'm so done. I'm so done. You know what the first thing he said? 憧れの遠藤さんに会えて光栄であります. He's like, oh my god, it's such an honor to meet the legend, Endo Mamoru. Like, shut the fuck up, man. You're supposed to be here for Haru Endo instead of just Endo Mamoru. The fact that you're coming to the house like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm meeting the legend, bro. Just talk about like, what the fuck? No, it's not about putting respect. He could have just be like, oh, it's nice to meet you. I'm a big fan. And like, can I ask you about your son? I'm here to visit your son. Like, you know, you can just say like, oh, it's nice to meet you. Like, not everyone wants to be treated as a legend, you know? Like, bro, he would... I hate him so much. I hate him. Can I? Me check it out. See. Do you see what he says? He's like, huh, you look up to me, huh? See, even Endo Mamoru is not comfortable with the damn thing because I know he's not thinking about it that way. Everyone just puts a title on him, but he just likes to play soccer. And this motherfucker is just smiling. Oh my god, I'm meeting my superstar. Disgusting. I hate it.
俺たちの時よりも今のライモンの方がちゃんとしてるけどな。
Oh my god, it's like, you know, oh my god, see, Endo Mamoru is so nice. Like, you know, honestly, back in our time, we weren't that cool compared to the Raimon now. Yes, see, he understands ground up. He did his best. He never asked for fame. He just wanted to do his best and love soccer. Middle schooler plotting ass.
でも今のライモンができたのはその
Stop talking about it.
さんたちあってのことというか
Stop talking about it, you dumb ass.
緊張すんなって。それで
See?
春が心配で来たんだよな。
Sorry, I have to keep pausing. He's like, you came here because you were worried for Haru, right? Yeah, you should have said that first. The amount of words. Oh god, I can't wait to like talk about this entire shit with Ollie when she reaches here. I'm pretty sure she might be as pissed as me because I am this #2 hater of Tsukikage Ren. She's #1, I'm #2. We both hate him.
ずっとサッカー部にも顔出してなくて学校も休んでいるって聞いてまさか噂は本当なんでしょうか
Wow, what a friend. Yeah, Haru hasn't been going to school. He's also not going to club. Don't tell me the rumors are real. Why don't you just ask Haru Endo himself? Don't you have Inaccord? Why don't you ask him? Hey, yo, bro, you good? I'm sorry that I wasn't paying attention to you or being your friend, but I'm worried about you. But you have to go all the way and be like, oh my god, he hasn't been to school. He hasn't done anything. I haven't seen him around. Is the rumors true? What the? Maybe he thought he was home? Bro. They have phones. We're not in Endo Mamoru's time anymore. They could have just chatted. My fucking god.
噂？
いや、その春は再起不能とか。
そんなこと言われてんのか？まあ、そうかもしれないな。
You're gonna starting to sound like Michi. I'm so pissed off. The thing is, when I'm pissed off at someone, I'm so pissed off when I see like this kind of personality, I really hate it. Oh my god. Oh god. I love Endo Mamoru so much. He's like, oh, people are saying those rumors? Well, maybe it might be true. Like, he's so chill about it. Like,
本人次第だ。どんな世界にも再起不能なんてない。その世界に関わり続ける術は必ずある。戻れるかどうかは自分次第だ。
It's his own choice. Yeah, it's his own choice. He wants to go back or not. There's no such thing as like. Ah, you're so stupid. Yeah, yeah. See? He's like, the thing is, this guy keeps saying like, oh, so it is true that he's beyond recovery. And literally, bro just said like, it depends on him if he wants to go back to like playing soccer or not. And literally the fucking middle schooler, the fucking captain was like, oh, so he's beyond recovery. Like, no, did you not listen? It's up to him. And now basically Endo is saying like, there's more than one reason, not just because he's hurt, that he's not going back to the soccer club. Like, he literally just said he's trying to find an answer. Yeah, if you like soccer, it'll continue. But literally, the team's a fucking ass. See? He understands. He watches Nagumohara. Okay, what he said just now. さっき言ったことをちょっと翻訳する. Basically, he said like, if you really love soccer, even if you're hurt, you still play it. That's the team you're fighting against, right? Bars! Nagumohara mentioned by the GOAT! Endo Mamoru! Fuck, bro! Okay, sorry. I really fucking hate... No, everyone there couldn't play soccer for a bit because of the reasons.
今は春を信じて待ってやってくれないか。あいつならきっと答えを見つけると思うから。
Calm, no need to be so mad. It's hard. Okay, okay. Endo Mamoru basically said like, can you like believe in Haru and just wait? He'll find his answer. Yeah, just wait.
お前たちは春のことを怪物と言って買いかぶっていたが、本当の怪物はあいつだ。
Damn, he's like, you call Haru Endo the monster, but I think Sasanami Unmei is the monster instead. Oh, wait, why? Eh? Uh-oh. Oh no. Uh-oh, guys, it's dinner. Guys, it's the famous dinner. He's like, hey, you should stay and eat dinner. You know how many years of that dinner Endo has to... You know what? Karma. That's your karma. Get wrecked. Go eat the famous... I feel like I'm missing... Okay, so for context who don't know, Endo's wife can't cook. She can't cook, but she always insists on cooking. So anytime they have guests over, it's like, hey, why don't you eat dinner? So basically, hey, I don't want to suffer alone, so you're staying with me. Get karma. Get karma.
ねえレンさん、サッカーってさ、つまんなくない？
Damn. Isn't soccer boring?
友達が欲しいんです。
Yeah, he wanted friends. He's been saying this for months and months and months.
レンさん、俺。
He wanted to talk to you, but like he always talked about his feet.
春の保護者のようなつもりでいた。だが俺も本質的には理解できていなかった。
Wow, he thought of himself as Haru's like guardian, but he didn't even understand how. Oh, what? You're not his guardian. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You just keep deciding that, oh, we'll always win with Haru around. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Yeah, you were blinded by greed. At least you reflected yourself. Took you 8 chapters. 8 chapters. Middle schoolers aren't that smart. Watch my goat, Sasanami Unmei. My goat. That's my goat right there.
アミサキさんに頼んでおいたものを取りに行かなければ。
ごめん、めっちゃさっき怒った。マジで。Ah, that's the monster. That's different. But look at Sakurazaki. He learned fast as well. なんか今のライモンは、ちょっと人気すぎて、なんでサッカーするの多分忘れた。楽しいからやってるわけじゃないんで、優秀な学校だから入るサッカーやる。
キャプテン、ビデオなら星村さんに渡しておきました。どうしても急いで受け取りたいと言ってきたので。
おう。星村が。
星村。
わかった。星村に聞いてみるよ。
はい。私も後で部室に行きますね。
ああ。
キャプテン、今部室で例のビデオ解析中です。すぐに来てください。
Okay. We're checking the video. Is it for his injury?
何かが映っているはずだ。星村のいる部室に行ってみよう。
Okay, I think we're investigating the injury. なんか、ハルくんの怪我の情報があるらしいと思う。なんかビデオがあるから、それをちょっと解決するから。うん。おう。
何か分かったか？
おう。
星村？何しとるんや？
ハルくんが怪我した時の試合、スタジアム中の選手フォローカメラの映像を網崎さんが手に入れてくれたんで、ハルくんの怪我の原因探り中。
それで？
まだ何も。ハルくんちょうどこの日が誕生日だったのに、ついてないよね。
Wait! That's so fucked. The injury happened on his birthday. なんか怪我はハルくんの誕生日の日だった。誕生日の会話にやったことは監督しかいないような。
誕生日。原因探るって、試合中の接触ってだけなんやろ？ねえ、キャプテン。
ああ。だが、少し気になることがあってな。
担当屋は引っかからないの？
何がよ。
ハルくんがあんなことで怪我するなんておかしいと思わない？
サッカーに怪我はつきものやで。どない優秀な選手でも怪我することあるやろ。
でも普通の選手じゃないんだよ。ハルくんだよ、あのハルくん。
それはそうやけど。
お、なんか。
どうしました？
これは。
あった？
なんやなんや。
Did you find it?
見ろ。春の足に敵の選手は接触していない。
お、wait, his feet? What? Oh, it didn't even come into contact.
どうなっとるんや。
It was already hurt?
じゃあ、ハルくんは誰からも何もされていないのに、転んで足の痛みを訴えたことになる。
Wait,
待てよ。これは、この春のスパイクは。
Wait, his shoes?
あの日は春の誕生日。ロッカールームに贈り物の箱があった。
は？ No, people are checking the replay, but they're checking the replay that there is no direct contact with Haru from the tackle. But apparently on Haru's birthday, there was a gift for Haru. 贈り物。
何かわかりました。
And is his spikes?
網崎さん、スタジアムの管理センターに連絡を取れました。
Wait, so it's an inside job? What the fuck?
はい。
Oh my god, no, okay, I really think it might be our coach sabotaging Haru, low-key. Because remember how, like, Haru said he has never gotten a birthday... Here's the thing, there was a conversation where Haru has never gotten a birthday present ever. And he always spent it with his family as, like, have dinner time or, like, eat together. And the only person that talked about, oh, you might get a lot of presents, huh? Was only Otome Sensei. So what if Otome Sensei was the one who gave the shoes? But I don't know why though.
あの日、ライモンのロッカールームに届いていた
Maybe, I don't know. I just don't know what the alibi, like why would they hurt Haru Endo? Like what's the point of hurting Haru Endo? なんでハルエンドを怪我する理由はわかんないけど、乙女先生がちょっと怪しいね。その日の乙女先生はなんか遠藤春の出たし
どうしたの3人とも。
あなただったんですね。春の怪我を仕組んだのは。
は Checkmate! I knew it. It says you were the one who plotted the injury.
選手が怪我をすることはよくある。それにどうやって仕組めるというんだい？
Oh, you are evil.
なんだこれは。何かのジョークとか？ドッキリかな？
あなたは試合前に春を呼び出し、父からの贈り物が届いたと言ってスパイクを渡した。
What the fuck? That's so fucked. あなたは試合前に春を呼び出し、Before the match, you called Haru and you said that his father had a gift sent to Haru, which is the spikes.
春はきっと試合前であったとしても喜んで履き替えたでしょう。
That's so fucked. Okay, that's fucked. And because Haru has never gotten a gift from his parents, he must have been really happy before the match.
しかし、そのスパイクには筋肉抑制剤の針が出てくるという仕掛けがあった。
What the fuck? 筋肉抑制剤の Bro, there was a fucking needle. ねえ、針が透けてる。There was a needle in the shoe. What the fuck?
プレイの最中、スパイクの針によって筋肉の力を失った春は転倒。足を痛める。
With a design like that voiced by Miyamoto. I mean, I hoped he wasn't evil, but again, he's evil.
そして、あなたは自分の息のかかった医者に足の怪我は再起不能であると偽証させた。
What the fuck? He even like asked the doctor to be like make him say like he's beyond recovery. What the fuck?
そんな憶測で話をされてもね。
ねえ、ちょっと。
スタジアムの監視カメラに映っていた。
That's so bad.
あなたとハルとのやりとり。それとこれです。
マジやばいよこれ。It's so bad. あは。
あなたはスパイクは廃棄しろと指示したんだと思いますが、ハルが言ったらしいんですよ。担架で運ばれる前、スパイクを脱がされた時に。
How dare you?
このスパイクはとっちゃんが
That's so fuck.
大切なものなんです。
That's so Wait, that's so fucked. I'm gonna cry. He's like, oh shit. That's so fucked. It's like, shit, that's so fucked. Shit, that's so fucked. Basically, oh, it hurts. Oh, but those spikes. It's the first time my dad gave me a present. It's very important to me.
で汚れちゃったけど、必ず取りに来るから、それまで保管しておいてもらえますか?
And he said, I know it's all like mud and whatever, but I'll try to, I want to take it back, so please keep it safe until then. What the fuck? That'sひどい。
スタジアムの道具管理者はあなたの言葉よりも選手である春の言葉に従った。
That's so... Oh my god, I have tears in my eyes. That's actually so fucked up. That's so fucked up.
当然です。スパイクは選手の命ですから。
That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. お前ひどい。なんで？
もっとこのスパイクの仕掛けは検証済みです。
渡せ。
No, you're fucked.
何が名門だ。ライモンなどぬくぬくとサッカーの英才教育を受けて甘えたガキどもの集まりだ。
Oh shit. He's saying like, what the hell is Raimon? Raimon only has like soccer people who's just like weak ass people who want to do soccer. Damn. That's true. That's true.
俺はな、
遠藤春もライモンもヘドが出るくらい嫌いなんだよ。
Oh my god, he hates. Wait, Endo Harumo Raimon. He hates Raimon, but he's here.
やめてください監督。
そこまでよ。乙女千次郎、警察です。
Oh my god, that's the police.
なぜ警察が？
罪を犯した者を警察に突き出すのは当然のことではなくって？
Oh, that's so fucked up.
理事長？
Yeah.
ライモン理事長からの連絡を受けて駆けつけたってわけ。
ママ。
乙女監督、あなたは息子さんのことで春を逆恨みしていたんですね。
Wait. Wait. Don't tell me the friend that died. The friend that died, the one that Haru had, was Otome's son. That was said to be also as strong as Haru Endo.
ジュニアリーグ時代、唯一春と渡り合うことができた天才少年プレイヤー、園崎愛流は乙女監督の息子さんだった。
Oh my god, it is the rival that Haru Endo had as a kid. Haru Endo のライバル、サッカーモンスターのもう一人、乙女監督の息子だった。It was a child. Shit.
愛流君はハル君との試合の中で怪我をしてしまったんですよね。
He got an injury. He got an injury during the match between Haru. Oh shit. Oh no.
それならワイも知っとるで。せやけどアイルってやつ、その怪我でサッカーできんようになってもうたんやろ。そのショックで車に飛び込んだとかなんとか。
Holy shit. Apparently because of the injury that happened as a kid and he couldn't play soccer anymore, he got so depressed and shocked and he basically committed suicide in front of a car. He jumped in front of a car. Holy fucking shit.
そうだ。息子は遠藤春になれたかもしれない。いや、超えられたかもしれない選手だった。
He's like, my son, 息子は遠藤春になれたかもしれない。He's like, he could have been Endo Haru, like the current Endo Haru. And it's like, no, he could have even more greater than Endo Haru.
私の誇りだった。
He was my pride.
なのに。
But
だからってあんなことを。
But like, why would you do that? That was like, that happened as a kid.
そうだ。遠藤春さえいなければ、あいつさえいなければ、こんなことにはならなかったのだ。
He's like, if only Haru Endo didn't exist, if like, you know, then this wouldn't all happen.
あいつだって遠藤春を恨んでいたはずだ。
Wait, he didn't hate Endo Haru, his son.
それはありえません。
何？
あなたは知らなかったんですね。春とアイル君の関係を。
Yes, their relationship.
春とアイルの。
Yeah.
アイル君は、あなたの息子は、自ら命を絶ったわけではありません。
Oh, he was okay. Okay, so according to Otome Kantoku, he thought that his son committed suicide. But apparently, Ren said that he's not the type to just throw his life away.
春とアイル君はライバルとして敵対していたわけではないんです。
なぜお前にそんなことがわかる？
Why would you know that?
これは春とアイル君の2人が練習のために使っていた SNS。
Oh, they had social media and they played together.
春にパスワードを聞いてログインしました。
Oh.
アイルが。
2人は共に練習し、一歩ずつ強くなっていった。 お互いの練習メニューに意見し合い、
Oh,
弱
they
点を指摘し
they
合う。
improved together. They played
ここ
together.
に全ての練習の記録があります。二人はお互いを高め合う関係だった。
They were rivals.
この書き込みを見てください。
ハル、俺お前がいたからサッカーやれたんだ。俺はサッカーできなくなったけど、お前に託していいか？俺のサッカーも。
Shit, he's like, Haru, because you're here, I get to play soccer. But like, because I'm unable to play soccer now, is it okay if I leave, like, you like to like do the soccer for me? My kind of soccer. Shit. That was Haru's first friend.
二人は恨み合ったりするような関係じゃない。心の底から通じ合った仲間だったんです。
They were friends.
春もアイル君がいなくなってから変わったんですよ。
Shit. So Haru was traumatized from when Airu died. Damn.
俺も春がサッカーをつまんないという理由が強いがゆえのものだとばかり思ってました。
Shit. Okay, so basically, it's like he thought that soccer is boring to Haru because he's just too strong, and then there's no one else to fight. But that's not the case. He finds soccer boring because there's no friends to play it with. Fuck. Fuck.
アイル、俺あの時君の気持ちを分かってやれなかった。君がすぐにいなくなっちゃったからさ。
Shit. It's like, back then I didn't understand what you were feeling, and then you passed away shortly after.
サッカーができないって本当？
It's like, are you real that you can't play soccer?
無理にサッカーやる必要ないよ。サッカーができなくなってもできることをやればいいんだ。
He was just
サッカーじゃなくても楽しいこといっぱいあるんだし。
Shit. Shit, this is the exact same line that Haru said. このセリフは全く同じことを運命くんに言った。This is the exact same thing he said to Unmei. He's like, I don't need to force myself to play soccer. Even if I can't play soccer, I can just do something else that I can do. It's okay. It doesn't have to be, you know, there's still a lot of fun things to do aside soccer. Oh, fuck.
でもやっぱりサッカーが良かったんだよな。アイルも。
Yeah, they both just wanted to play soccer together.
なんで無理にサッカーやるの？サッカーじゃなくても
He said
楽しいこといっぱいあるで
He
しょ。
said the same thing to Unmei.
ひどいこと言っちゃったな。
Oh, he realized how mean he sounded to Unmei saying that.
「中学でやるサッカーはつまんなかったし、いつまでサッカーが楽しかったのかもう分かんなくなってた。でもアイル、サッカーってさ、すげえ熱かったんだよ。やりたくってやりたくってたまんなくなるやつだったんだよ。それを俺に教えてくれたやつがいる。アイルがあの時感じた苦しみだって今ならわかる。アイルとやれなかったサッカー、そいつとやってもいいかな。ハル、俺はサッカーになったんだ。
ずっと君と一緒にいるから。
What the fuck? Damn, he's like, you know, I've become soccer and I'll always be with you. So, what the fuck? Shit. This is so fucked. This is so fucked. あれこの段階でこのストーリーマジちょっと暗い。ちょっと暗くない？ Isn't this too dark? What the fuck? I like Edge, but this is beyond my capabilities. Fuck.
そんなにサッカーが好きか。だからなぜ死んだ？自ら命を絶つなど。
It's like, if you love soccer that much, why did you die? Why did you throw your life away?
あなたの息子は自殺したんじゃない。車の整備不良によるスリップだった。
Okay, it wasn't a suicide, but the car didn't stop.
ドライバーの隠蔽によって白黒つけるのに時間がかかったけど、完全な事故だって分かったんだよ。
It was an accident. It was pure accident.
だがな、どんな理由があろうと、俺はあなたを許さない。
Shit.
春はサッカーの未来だ。日本のサッカーを変える力がある。あなたはそれを。
Shit.
すまなかった。
おいおい少年、スポーツをやる子が暴力はいけないよ。私に任せな。
No violence. I mean, I get on the dad's side because his son died.
サ
Shit,
ッカー絡み
man.
で悪いことをするやつ、おじいちゃんが許さないんだよね。これからじゃんじゃん逮捕してサッカーきれいにしてくよ。
Shit, man. That's so fucked. That's so fucked.
お前は完全に吹っ切れたみたいだな。
サッカーのこと？
さ。
吹っ切れてなんかいないよ。サッカーは僕にとって重い。
It's still heavy soccer to him.
みんながサッカーをやるところを見るのは辛いってことか？
Is it?
それはない。
Okay, he doesn't feel weighted by
今は
watching
みんながや
people
るサッカー
soccer.
を自分がやっているように感じられてる。
Okay.
だから充実してるんだ。
だったら何が重いんだ？
So what's the heavy part now?
僕のサッカーはみんながいてのサッカーなんだ。みんながいなきゃ僕のサッカーはない。いつまで僕はみんなの期待に応え続けられる
Oh, the weight of the pressure. Because he can't do his soccer without everyone.
それプレッシャーってやつか。
プレッシャーね。
そんなことか。
そんなこと。
お前だけだって思ってんのか？
Is that
フォワードはみんなが繋いだボールを決めるのが仕事だ。ミスしたら外したらうまくチャンスを生かせなかったら、キーパーだってここで自分が取られたらそれが決勝点となって負けるかもしれない。中盤の選手だって敵の選手の目も怖いが味方選手の目も怖いんだぜ。そのボール生かせよ、取られんなよってそう言ってる目にさらされる。みんなプレッシャーの中で何とかやってるんだぜ。
everyone's doing their best under pressure? That's true.
うちの有能すぎる監督を満足させるためにな。
To make sure our coach is satisfied.
せい。
運命。 お前はサッカーを自分でやることはできないが、誰よりもサッカーを知っている。誰よりもサッカーを愛している。
You know and love soccer the most out of everyone.
お前の失敗は俺たちが背負う。俺たちの失敗はお前が何とかする。それがチームだ。
Damn.
そうだろ。運命。サッカーやろうぜ。
Oh my god, the famous line, "Soccer yarose."
一緒に。これからも。
Let's keep doing soccer together. Soccer yarose minna. Let's keep doing soccer together. We love Bonds. I love Bonds. I love
それ
this.
でさ、
Oh.
この俺の練習メニュ
They
ーなん
say,
だ
oh,
が、
my
階段上り下り200
my training regimen. So 200 floors, but is it a little bit too much? Oh my god, it's peak after peak. Oh my god, Haikido! Peak after peak after peak after peak. Holy shit. What is this? Why is Inazuma 11 peak after peak after peak after peak? すごい. That's so cool.
遠藤さんは言った。笹波運命は怪物だと。いよいよ最後の特訓だ。
Final training.
試合に挑むしかない。
Oh.
待ってて、運命。
さあ、いよいよフットボールフロンティア決勝戦。無敵の王者ライモンに気鋭の新星南雲原が挑みます。
いや、春は来るよ。この笹波運命と戦う舞台にきっとみんなと一緒にサッカーをやる。
雲から太陽は覗く。Oh my god. Oh my
稲妻イ
god.
レブン、今日の格言。
Oh my god, エンドマムロ。
どんな世界にも再起不能なんてない。戻れるかどうかは自分次第だ。以上。
Banger. In any world, like beyond recovery is not a thing. It's up all up to you. Damn. Bars. Oh shit, I'm already in chapter 9. Daikyusha! I'm already in chapter 9. That's the last chapter. What the fuck? He just climbed? Eh? Eh?
ハル、おにぎり持ってきたよ。
上谷堀江。
ああ、いつもすいません。
精が出るね。でも無理しないようにね。
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Hold on.
慌てて食べると喉に詰まらすよ。
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, there. He ate too fast. Yo, chill on the onigiri. He's going wild.
死ぬかと思った。
この前初めて会った時から毎日何やら大層きつそうなことやってるけど大丈夫なのかい？
Is he trying to recover?
大丈夫。ノープロブレム。
No problem.
そうかいそうかい。若いっていいね。
Nice to be
で
young.
もなんか焦って体を鍛えているみたいだけど何かあるのかい？
ある。強いやつと勝負するんだ。ちゃんと体を治して。
Oh, he really
万
wants
全
to.
の状態じゃないと勝
He
てないんだ。
wants to heal, so he can fight.
その人はそんなに強い人なのかい？
God bought it? Okay, hold on. Where? It's bought? Oh god. da, 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 da. Okay, banned. I think I banned everything. There's been a lot of bots lately that can just do shit. Ah, this one. Da, 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 da. Okay, gone. Downtime moment to tell. Ah, it's okay. All good. He's gone now. Yeah, that's why we have to move servers eventually. What is that? Oh. Okay, should be good. Can't come any sooner, I know. I have to get like time at the end of the year to talk to all of you guys because we are doing a lot of overhaul. A lot of overhaul is gotta do for me as a creator and working with more people. So I'm counting on you guys. Cow goes, but what the hell? Thank you so much for the 100 biddies, but what the fuck? Thank you so much, Cow goes, boo. You came at a very, very, very strange but impeccable timing. What the hell? Thank you, Cow. I hope you're doing good. If we can't get moderation bots with blacklisted terms, it could help. Yeah, so apparently it's easier to make a new server for that. So that's why we have to migrate eventually. And yeah. I think I have to start making the server migration thingy, so by my birthday, maybe we start migrating. I think that would be nicer to do. So I hope I have time. No, you know what? I'll make time. I'll make time after stream. I think I might just contact Pharaoh. I'll contact Pharaoh. I'll sleep a bit later today and just go to work a little bit later tomorrow. I think it's something I have to do. Server to invite only? It's only if they go to... They have to like specifically go to like my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel. It's not even on my Twitter. So like you actually have to like go to steps to actually getting in. What I could do is... Oh, what I could do later, I think, is I could change the invite link, I think. Because that invite link has been like out for like 4 years. So I think I could change the invite link and update everything to a new one. That way like they can't enter. Yeah. That's what I could do later on. Should be good. That doesn't really work, really? Does it not work temporarily? Verification? I use verification bot. Most secure method now is linked account. Linked account. Oh. Ah. Is that a setting I can do on my server? Yeah, the server right now is people can join your server directly with an invite. There's also people must submit an application and be approved to join. Okay, hold on. Safety setup. To see, oh yeah, so how do you like add that on? How do you add that on to? We'll do it later. Okay. I get curious. Sorry, I got curious. I'm like, ooh, how do we do that? Oh man, I'll do it later. So much work to do. I have to find time to talk to you guys too. It's a whole thing, which is why, yeah, I think we have to get that ready soon. We can handle it. I'll stream. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to find time. Do you guys have time after this? Do you guys have time after this? I have time. I'm just gonna stay up late. I drank Robusta coffee today. That's fucked up, you know. It really fucked me up. Like, dead ass, that Robusta coffee fucked me up because I still have energy at 10:32. It's kind of fucked up. Okay. I guess I'm mad behind in stream. I don't know why the stream is like lagging that much though, honestly. I don't know.
あんなんで潰れるならそれまでのやつだったってことだ。
人気者のヒーローさんはみんなに心配してもろて、ワイとどう違うんや。やっぱ顔？
一つそれはある。
ハルさんは一人ぼっちでしたよ。
Yeah, he was lonely.
そういう風に私には見えました。
You get it. I'm no longer behind, so it's not the forest internet doing. Yep, this is why Twitch servers are ass.
レンさんのことだから、きっと俺のこと心配してますよね。ごめんなさい。安心して。こっちはしっかり次のステップに向けての準備をしています。それで、レンさん、頼みがあるんです。
ハルが俺に。
Damn, Haru has a request to Ren-san? Oh. No, thank you, alright. No, thank you,
みんな最後の試合に向けて自主練をしているはずだ。様子を見に行ってみるか。
Wait, why are we checking Raimon's? Wait, why are we? Wait, ちょっと待って、なんでライモンの調子を見るの? Why are we checking Raimon's stats though? I wanna see Nagumohara. Oh, wait, do I have more items? Hold on. Damn. Damn, they're just chilling.
なあ、キャプテン。相手は南雲原って新参なんで、練習より体調を整えようってことですね。
What the fuck?
今は相手の強さより、当日風邪をひいたりってことが怖いでしょ。
What the fuck? They're so underestimated. It's like, oh, what are you doing? It's like, oh, we're just. I mean, they're new people anyway, so we're just making sure that we're not getting sick.
いいかみんな、よく聞け。かつてこのライモンは無名だった。フットボールフロンティア優勝など、天地がひっくり返っても起こりえないくらいにな。決勝で俺たちが相手にする南雲原は、その時のライモンに似ている。
Yeah.
キャプテンはその時のライモンを見ていないのにどうして語れるんですか？
お前たちはサッカー部の旧部室に行ったことがあるか？
Yeah, they didn't earn the number one themselves. Oh, do we get to see how they all?
あの部室を見れば意識が変わるはずだ。旧部室に行ってみよ
う。Are we going down memory lane where legends began, where hard work and passion, where things began? あの頃の時を見るの最初のライモン。The small Raimon soccer club. Yes! Yes! This, the legend. This is it, the legend. This is where it all started.
ここには一冊のノートが置かれていた。かつてのライモンが日本一になるまでの記録だ。彼らはどん底から這い上がるために特訓を繰り返した。来る日も来る日も勝利を信じて特訓した。仲間のために、自分自身のために。
力のない人が練習するのは当たり前。だからライモンのサッカー部部訓にも練習こそが力だというのがあるくらいですから。
そうだ。ならばお前たちはなぜ練習しない？
Damn. Yes. That's why our motto is like, even with people with no power, they practice. That's why our motto is like, you can do anything with practice. And it's like, yeah, so why aren't you guys practicing?
相手がそこまで強くないからでしょ。
Bro, how Raimon has fallen. Because the opponent doesn't seem that
しぐれ
strong.
はナグモハラを見たのか？
Have you watched Raimon?
それは。
Bro, they're so weak now.
俺は決勝大会に入ってからのナグモハラのすべての試合を見てきた。ライモンがナグモハラに決定的に劣っている点がある。
嘘やろ。ナグモハラの試合なら一試合分映像で見たんやけど、そんなすごなかったで。ギリギリで勝ち進んどるだけっちゅうか。
I beat them. Haha.
ライモンがナグモハラに決定的に劣っている点。それは監督だ。
Yeah.
確かに乙女監督、突然辞めていなくなっちゃったし。
Well, not really.
まあいても大した指示してなかったけど。
監督。まあそんなもんいなくったってうちは。
Damn.
確かに乙女監督は試合では俺たちの自由にやらせてくれていた。だが監督が作っていた練習メニューは選手一人一人に合わせた絶妙な難易度と量だった。
あ、それは確かに。
監督の采配によってチームの力は倍増する。有能な監督を敵にすれば個性が明確で分析しやすいライモンは完全に不利だ。
うちが不利とかそんなバカな。
Wow, they really don't believe that they're actually like not that good. Like, the thing is, like, for me, guys, I don't know why, the Raimon now, their looks aren't exactly like as hot as Nagumohara, which is so sad.
ではその新参者に歴史ある帝国学園はなぜ敗れたんだ？
Yeah, they won against Teikoku.
遠藤さんは言った。笹波運命は怪物だと。
遠藤さんってあの遠藤さん？春のパパのレジェンド遠藤守さん？
Gold mention! Bro!
我々が勝つためには敵の分析を超えた力を特訓で手に入れるしかない。そうでなければ我々は神聖のように現れたポットでの怪物に食われることになる。
俺たちが食われるというのか？
Yeah, because you guys don't practice.
始めるぞ。これまでにない最大級の特訓を。はい。
Okay, at least they have spirit to practice.
待て。何人かは特訓における具体的な指示をする。お前を信じるぞ、ハル。
Wait, is Haru giving them, like, training menus?
敵の分析を超えた力。もしかすると、あいつなら。
What do you mean? Hold on, uh-oh. Uh-oh? なんか嫌な感じ。みんな急に特訓が始まるんだけど、俺たちももっと特訓するかな。A little bit scared. Low-key, high-key, low-key, high-key. Low-key, high-key. Rare. Okay.
この辺にいると聞いていたんだが。
What are we searching for? Oh.
あら、キャプテン。
お、
あ、美咲さん。
こんなところでどうかしました？
敵の分析
Did Raimon always have a stadium? No.
それは
It was built after Raimon got like really famous.
この辺にいるはずなんだ。
誰がですか
？1年のキーパー候補、木下松野。
木下
テストではかなりの高得点を出していた。
であれば、あそこに。
How long did it take to get famous? Took a while, I think. Famous after Endo Mamoru won. Oh.
あれですね。木下松野。いつもおかしなことをやって気味悪がられています。
Damn, he's...
みんなからは、シグドママって言われているみたいです。
What is he doing?
シグドママ。
シグドママ？
シグド戦記。最近アニメ化された小説です。そのファンらしくて、ハマり方が異常ということでそう呼ばれています。
木下さん、何をしているんだ？
あ、キャプテ
ン。お、
今基礎体力の特訓中なんです。
Holy shit. It's a girl. As a keeper?
どうしてそれが特訓なんだ？しゃがんで力んでいるだけに見えるが。
目標はこのスタジアムを1センチ動かすこと。
She wants to move 1 centi of the stadium.
スタジアムを動かす？
シグド戦記の女神シグリア様は大陸だって動かすんですよ。かっこいいじゃないですか。私だってこれくらい動かせないと。
そうか。
She kind of looks like Kabayama's secret love child. She does. Ah!
何？まさか。
たまたま起こった余震のようなものでしょう。
そうだよな。
今日の課題クリ
ア。は？
それでキャプテン、何の様子か？
君に提案があるんだ。キーパーとしての正式な練習を受けてみないか？
う
ちなんかがもう公式な練習に参加していいんすか？
ああ、新しい才能を試してみたいんだ。
よっしゃー、うちの時代来た
ー。よし、決まりだ。グラウンドに来てくれ。
イエス、女神シグリアの名のもと
に。じゃあ後でな。あ、
それとキャプテン、うちのことシグドママって呼んでもらえますか？
ああ。
まあね、そういう人がいるから稲妻11。だからこそ稲妻11。There's always some crazy person in 稲妻11。そうですね。People can clone themselves, summon dark matter, become lightning and stuff. Are you scared of someone that can move a stadium? Well,
そろそろ休憩するか。
ああ、ブレイクタイム。
うん、そうだね。
そうだね。
待て桜崎、まだ練習が始まって1時間だ。休んでる場合じゃねえ。
なんだと？こっちは特別なシュートの特訓をしてる。通常の練習よりも何倍も消耗するんだ。
そんな甘っちょろいことを言っててライモンに勝てんのか？
みんな焦っているな。
They're all nervous.
ええ、大きなプレッシャーがかかっていることは間違いない。
It is the finals, yep. How much stats do we need this time? It hasn't said.
敵が左サイドから来たらキーパーは追従せずにディフェンダーにサイドを任せるべきだよ。
僕はそれがベストだとは思えない。一点集中で来る攻撃をディフェンダーだけでは防ぎきれない。
大丈夫さ。計算では守りきれるよ。
君の計算など信用できないね。
Damn, can't trust your calculations, dog.
そういう四川道君はサッカーの素人だよね。
Oh damn. It's like, yeah, but like you're a rookie in soccer.
なんだって。
四川道君があんなに。
大舞台を前にみんな自分を見失っている。
Everyone is nervous. Boy.
どうした運命。それぞれの練習をしている時間に全員を集めるとかよ。
最後の試合を前にしてみんな肩の力が入りすぎているように見える。みんなにはちょっとしたレクリエーションをやってもらいます。
お、面白そう。
レクリエーションだと？
今から？
どう考えてもそんなことをしている暇があるようには思えないな。
気持ちはわかるけどさ、運命。さすがに今は違うと思う。
悪いが、それぞれの練習に専念させてもらうぜ。今はマジで大事な時なんだ。
マジで大事な時。
Oh damn.
僕はみんなに日本一になると約束した。
お。
そのため今が大事な時だって。そんなことは分かっている。だからこそなんだ。
Static audio? Okay.
君は一度ライモンと戦った。今のナグモハラがあのライモンを倒せると思うかい？
Hold on. Here we go.
みんな分かっているはず。ここまで来たけど、ナグモハラはライモンに実力では到達できていない。それが分かるからみんな焦っているんだ。
確かに。
Let me pet
今は無茶な
you.
練習をして現実逃避しているに等しいな。
ナグモハラの最大の強みは何だろうか。
Ooh, he's like asking, what's our strength?
基礎時。
お。
俺？
What's our strength?
答えて。
それはあれかな。チームワークとか。
そう。
チームワーク。
当たった。
ナグモハラの個性はチームワーク、チームの一体感だった。だけど今はそんなチームはどこにもない。
Oh, bars. Man is spitting bars like our like our unique point is that our teamwork is like literally like the best thing. But right now the team is nowhere there. Bars, man. Bars. Damn, I'm lagging.
今のままではライモンに勝つどころかいい試合ですらもできない。
Damn, he's like at this rate we don't even talk about like winning against Raimon. It's not gonna be a good match either.
それはそうなるよね。
ボロボロに負けるのしか思い浮かばない。
今までのプレーですらもできないんじゃ。
勝てるはずがない。
完全に自分たちを見失ってたな。
それでレクリエーションって何をやればいいんだ？
What the?
ポジションバラバラゲーム。
Whose voice was that? Position bara bara game. He's switching up the positions.
何これ？デスゲーム来た！
He's saying, I think he's switching everyone's positions.
それで具体的には何すんの？
それはうちのキャプテン次第かな。
運命、具体的にはどうするのか教えてよ。
I was practicing my Japanese, my bad. Ren!
その前に全員で初心に帰る。みんなで南雲原中に戻ろう。
Oh, we're going back to Nagumohara.
全員の気持ちをもう一度一つにするには南雲原に戻って彼らの力を借りるしかない。
Oh, wait. Borrowing their power? Oh. Let's see how this goes. Nagumohara ni modoro. Yanya. Pew 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 pew. Fly. Okay. I might, but I'll probably take like a short break from it.
みんな本来のポジションではない位置でプレイしてほしい。
Oh.
最後の練習だけど楽しんでやろう。
Okay, they're all gonna play as positions they've never played before.
それはいいんだけど、相手って。
Yeah, who are we playing against? Oh.
野球部か。
Oh wait, the fuck?
お前たち。
Oh my god, it's the baseball
野
team.
球すっかりサッカー部だな。
野球さん元気そうですね。なんかキャプテンさんに呼ばれちゃって。
全力で潰していいって言われている。
Them.
で
Aww.
はこれよりサッカー部対野球部の因縁の対決を始めます。
自分で作った因縁ね。
Oh, and everyone's playing a different role. Oh, that's gonna be so funny. Oh my god, they're level 39. Oh my god. Oh. Wait, Loki. Oh my god, lock. Oh my god, they're all locked. Wait, that's kind of fun. Wait, let's do this. Let's put myself in. It's interesting. Paserio. Look, guys, I'm starting. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh.
Tactics.
Oh my god, we're so weak.
こっちかな。
いいよ。それじゃ。
Holy shit, we're so weak. Can I shoot? Let's try. Kick.
なんかこれって
うまくやれ。
楽しい。
たまには走るのもいいな。
はい、新鮮です。
だけどよ、こんなことしてていいのか。
Damn, they can even do tactics.
本当だ。何か考えがあるんだろうよ。
Second rough. Oh, that's so cute. Kawaii. No. Yagyu, yippee! I'm doing my bestest. I'm so weak.
悪くない。うまくやれ。
おお。あ。Bitch, shut up. I'm still here. I'm just gonna keep kicking. No! No! Nice. Now you're just off the team. Shut up. Shut up. I'm doing my bestest. Go, Yagyu, go! Okay, I just have to kick one more time. Okay, one more kick, one more kick. Ah, shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! What the? Bro, I got tackled by 2 people. Yay! That wasn't Peter using. Let's go, Yagyu! Ow!
Tactics!
めっちゃ頑張ってる。めっちゃ頑張ってる。めっちゃ頑張ってる。はい。ゴー！イエス！
いいぞ。ほらよ。いいよ。
I have no shoots. No! Oh! Okay, 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 okay. 大丈夫だった、大丈夫。ナイス。
こっちかな。
たまー。Bit by bit. Bit by bit. お。わ、shit.
当然だね。
はっ。It's out. I pressed the wrong button. I've never pressed the. I've never pressed the shoot button ever. Oh my fucking god! I'm gonna lose my shit.
こっちかな。
は？
I've never 見たことない。Guys, don't clip that, please. Please don't ever clip that. That's the first time I've used the square button, which is basically just says shoot. Please don't ever show that to anyone. Please. No!
どうしたどうした。ほらよ。いいよ。任せたよ。はい。
No!
あ、頼む。パス。パス。ここは通さないよ。こんな時いたな。
ナイス。
任せたよ。いいほらよ。
Okay, it's 329. Yes, sir. Yatta! Yay! I'm giving everything to Shisendo Senpai. 全部 Shisendo Senpai にあげる。かっこいい。Love Shisendo Senpai. No! I pressed wrong button. Oh! I have nothing. Anyways, kick it. Oh, 半分ぐらい。
うまくやれ。Tactics.
Okay.
Tactics.
Yes, sir. Oh, あと少し。Bit more.
ほらよ。
Yay! Let's go! I scored! Yay! Damn. Girl is fired up. Holy shit, what was that? Holy shit.
Tactics.
That's so funny. Your knees are never. No, that's a dream. That's a dream. I don't think my knees will ever work like that. She said no. She said no. She said no. Just so. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, that's true. Ah! Ah! Bit too close, yeah. Ooh, what's this? Oh, she can be Laika. It's Laika time. Mixito dance. All right, I can do this, but I want to try. Oh my god. Damn, he really did it. Boo. That's so interesting. That's so interesting. Nice. Oh my god. Wait, guys, this is it. I'm playing with Shisendo. Oh my god. Yeah! Yeah! Oh my god, I'm with Shisendo Senpai. Oh, fuck you. No. Damn. How dare you block our shoot. That was me and Shisendo Senpai. Damn. I will remember this. Yatta! We did it! We won! Yippee! Oh my god, guys. I'm finally in the leaderboard. You know what? We scored when you're allowed to play. Yippee! I'm not washed up. Yippee! I did it, chat. I can finally score. It took me 9 chapters.
ありがとな。
取れよ、日本一。
Take number 1 in
うちは
Japan.
準優勝止まりだしね。負けてられないよ
No
な。
one gave Brave a high five. Oh. I don't get a high five. Sag. My hands are down. Sob.
さすが笹波くん。みんな楽しそうにリラックスしてきたね。でも緊張もほぐれてきたところだし、そろそろ普通の練習に。
いえ、残りの練習期間はライモンへの能力相殺訓練とポジションバラバラゲームの2つでいきます。
お
でも新技特訓とかそういうのやっておかないといけないのでは。
お
力比べをしてうちに勝つ見込みはありません。猫が虎と力比べするようなものです。猫には猫の個性を生かした戦い方があります。
Oh, we should fight with how cats can fight instead of like our cats. And they're the tigers.
でもここまで来たんだね。
はい、来ましたね。
決勝まで来られるなんて十分よね。
勝てない前提の発言ですか。
え、勝てるの？
This is like, oh, we get to win?
ハラのステータス上昇率を計算に入れてライモンとの差を比較すると勝利の確率は
Well,
10% くらい。
guys, we have 10% chance of winning. That means we can win.
でも確率なんて意味のない人たちの集まりですから信じてみようと思います。
信じる？
It's a chance, yeah.
マンベ君からライモン中のデータが送られてきました。同時に動画も。
マン隊長のマンマン TV、 やる気満々の情報発信、これを最大限活用すれば確率 200% で勝利間違いないべ。みんな
Oh, the stalker stopped.
らしいですよ。
The stalker stopped. Zam, zam, zam. Asa, it's morning time.
いよいよ最後の特訓だ。全てをかけて試合に挑むしかない。今回の特訓課題はかなり変わっているけど信じてついてきてもらいたい。
Wow! チームワークのタクティクスにセットする。カメオにシュート技をセットする。視線度にシュートは。Oh shit! Oh shit! Hold on. チーム。Oh. What was it? Oh, I need to get the new things then. Yeah, it's a lot of training. That's a lot. That's a lot of training. Wait, is it this one? The stat required was a lot before. Oh, really? Oh, we can use. Oh, we can use Teikoku Gakuen's Hisatsu tactics. Fascinating. Wow. Wow. Ooh, black lipstick. I'll take it. Looks cool. Oh, right. Shouldn't I... Is that better? 4824416. And then... Oh shit, we're still like this. The team. We can change the formation now, right? Right? Or are we still doing this formation? Are we still doing this formation? Oh. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. I have to get them up to level 35? Oh, he's still advanced. Top player. Growing player. Normal player. Oh. Should change it anyways? Okay. I think it was like this. Oh, I think it was like this. I think Ray should be a goalie? Me? I don't think so. Oh. Their levels are so high now. Oh. Oh. We can't fight the Okinawan team, huh? I was hoping we get to fight the Okinawan team. Alright, I think they wanted Kameo to learn was it a shoot skill? Is it this one? Yeah, I think we have to go here, right? Because I think something shoot skill. And then with this one, we need to switch to this one. Oh, but this one's got fingers. Aww. But we don't get God fingers. Do we not need God finger? Okay. Is there any other place to like buy? Let's just hear. Oh, okay. I feel like because the training is a little bit long, I think I might end the stream today, like right now. Cause I feel like I wanna like train really long for the finale, because I feel like if I do the finale now, maybe like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'll be done. Meetings. Yeah, I think I want to save it. I think I want to save this. We're like, these are just 2 requirements left, right? Before the final match. And that's gonna be so backloaded, I feel. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't want to push myself. I want to make sure that I have the brain to enjoy this. Thank you for coming to the short stream, guys. I called it short, though. Anyways, let's see if I have anyone to raid today. Crazy, right, guys? I'm ending the stream before 12. Short stream, short stream. Oh, it's Omiya Emma's 4th anniversary. Oh shit, my tummy hurts. Thanks for the stream. Thank you so much for coming to the short Inazuma 11 stream. Let's see if there's anyone I can raid. Wow, my Twitch is dying. Sounds accurate though. Like, wow, my Twitch is dying. Let's check. What do I raid? Thank you for stream. Oh, good. I'm a little bit confused with the raid. After you got sent off in my game, the game gave a choice of what to do about it. I apologize and blame the ref online. I did a ladder and the player's agent said don't ever do it again. You're asking for the longer ban me exactly. I forgot to text this. Wait, hold on. I don't get the context. I don't get the context. But yeah, let me try to find. None of my. Don't know who to rate at the moment. Yeah, I didn't really catch the reference. Like, pick anyone or I can just end. Okay, I think I might just end because I don't know what to do. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. And I will see you guys next time. 今日はここまでにしようと思うから、次の配信は最後のフィナーレの配信にするから。で、but yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I think, yeah. I'm gonna do the Discord thing as well. But yeah, thank you everyone. And have a good rest. 今日来てくれてありがとうございました。おやすみなさい。バイバイ。